Okay, so when you think of AI, what comes to mind? Probably some kind of all-powerful digital brain, right? A mind just floating out there in the cloud, doing incredible things. But what if I told you that this digital god has a body? A surprisingly physical and, yeah, fragile body. It's the side of AI we almost never talk about, and it might just be its biggest secret. Let's dig in.
So let me ask you straight up, what do you think is AI's greatest weakness? And I'll give you a hint, it's not some flaw in its code. It's not a bug in an algorithm or some kind of clever logic puzzle you could throw at it. No, its biggest weakness is something, well, something way more primitive. Something undeniably real.
You know, we've all been sold this idea, this myth, of an untouchable brain just living in the cloud. But the reality? Oh, the reality is so much messier. The truth is, AI has a body. A very real, very fragile body that's literally tied to our world by a massive, tangled mess of cables and pipes and heavy machinery.
And that brings us right to its Achilles heel. See, AI's physical body lives inside these enormous data centers, and just like any other body, it has basic critical needs. And, this is the important part, it has very real, very exploitable vulnerabilities.
Here's the central paradox of it all, really. The smarter the AI gets, the more unbelievably advanced it becomes, the more it depends on the most primitive things imaginable. We're talking raw electricity, tons and tons of water, and just a cool place to run without overheating. It's kind of wild when you think about it.
All right, let's break down vulnerability number 1. I'm calling it the computational black hole. And listen, this isn't about trying to outsmart the AI with a clever riddle. No, this is about something much cruder. It's about forcing it to literally work itself to death.
So how would you do that? Well, it's something called a computational induction attack. And it's not a hack like you see in the movies. It's more of a brute force thing. An attacker just floods the AI with a ton of junk tasks. Now, these tasks are super easy to send, but they require a crazy amount of computing power for the AI to actually solve. It's like asking it to solve an impossible math problem, 1,000,000 times a second.
And this sets off a really devastating chain reaction. So, step 1, the junk tasks flood in. Step 2, the GPU clusters, think of them as the AI's muscles, are forced to run at 100%, constantly. Step 3, the power demand just goes through the roof, putting a massive strain on the whole local electrical grid. And the final step, the hardware itself either overheats and melts or just completely burns out from the unstable voltage. Game over.
And get this, the damage doesn't stop at the data center's walls. That sudden, insane power draw can trigger a domino effect, causing cascading failures and blackouts across the entire region. So a digital attack results in very real, very physical darkness for everyone. But okay, it's not just about the electricity. That brings us to vulnerability number 2, which is, honestly, it's surprisingly low tech, but it's absolutely critical. Let's talk about the water choke point.
Think of it this way. The cooling system is basically the throat of a data center. All that thinking, all that computing generates an incredible amount of heat. And if you don't have a constant flow of coolant, which is usually just water, to carry that heat away, the whole system would literally melt. So yeah, it can be choked.
And the amount of water we're talking about here is just staggering. A single big AI data center can drink up as much water as a small city. And here's the crazy part. A lot of these are built in deserts or other dry places where water is already super scarce. This dependency isn't just a weakness, it's a massive, glaring vulnerability.
And this is where a strategy called a dimensional reduction strike comes into play. I mean, think about it. Why spend months or even years trying to code some complex cyber attack when you could get an even more devastating result with a very simple physical attack on a water pipe or a cooling pump? It's the ultimate low-tech solution to a very high-tech problem.
And the result is instantaneous. Without that cooling, temperature sensors would trip an emergency shutdown of the entire data center in just a few minutes. The most advanced AI on the planet, taken offline. Not by a brilliant hacker with lines of code, but by a problem with its plumbing? It's almost absurd.
So these two weak spots, power and water, they really point to a much bigger problem. When you zoom out and look at the whole picture, you start to see just how fragile the entire energy supply chain that supports this AI ecosystem really is. Yeah, this supply chain is just incredibly brittle. I mean, it depends on so many things all working perfectly.
You need rare metals for the high-end chips, which only come from a few places. You need a constant, massive supply of energy, whether that's fossil fuels or clean energy. You need stable power grids that stretch across countries. And you need all the physical stuff, like transformers and pipelines, that are often just sitting out there, totally vulnerable. A single break in that chain, and the whole thing can just grind to a halt.
So if you take one thing away, let it be this. AI is not the cloud. That's just a slick marketing term. The reality is that AI is a physical machine. It's deeply, deeply rooted in some of the most complex and frankly most vulnerable industrial infrastructure on the face of the earth. So, what does this all add up to? Well, it means we really have to rethink what power even means in the 21st century. The whole battlefield for global competition, it's shifting. It's moving away from just the digital world and back into the physical one.
And in this new era, the true measure of power, it's not just about who has the smartest algorithm anymore. It's not about who has the most data. That's only one half of the story.
The other half, the one that might be way more important, is control over the raw physical resources that make it all run. We're talking electricity and water. Those are the ultimate trump cards in this new game, because without them, the most brilliant AI in the world is just a silent, useless box of metal and silicon. And that leaves us with one last, really big question to chew on. As we're all racing ahead into this AI-powered future, are we accidentally setting the stage for the next major global conflict? One that won't be fought over code, but over kilowatts. Not over data, but over water.